Gemar Tov, friends. Before we start, we're trying something because of scheduling this year. I've got to go right from delivering a sermon here to delivering a sermon in our Leilad service in the chapel. So that means when I finish, I need all of you to stay where you are so that I can go, and then you can stay for all the rest of the repetition of the Musaf Amidah also. But if you have to leave, you can go, surreptitiously. Just let me get out first. Let's see how that goes. Chazan, I'm trying, buddy. Okay. The last preamble I have for you is that this sermon is the one that I had written the earliest in the summer. I came to our confirmation class this week and I said, I don't think that it's the right one. It's just not, I don't think it's the right message. It felt good in July. I don't think it's right. And I talked it through and they said, you should try it, Rabbi. So to Maddie and to Ruby and to Sylvie, thank you for talking me into this. But you can tell right away because I'm going to start with a question for you. This is going to let you know that this was not written this week. So what do you think the biggest culprit is in causing government shutdowns? Yeah. Don't worry. I really like working here. We're not this is not political. But if you had a guess, I'll tell you, according to a political article and a few others, it is air conditioning. Because the fiscal year of the government used to be June 30th, and then they would leave and be gone until the end of September because DC is a swamp and no one wants to be there during the summer months. But when Congress got air conditioning in the 1920s, not only did they add a summer session, which meant that the budget process got pushed to September 30th, which is why we have these deadlines at September 30th, and there's not enough time because they go away for August. Okay, it's fine. But also, debate in Congress went up some 400% once they got AC. Bills got longer, and they would actually sit and talk about it instead of just oh, fine, whatever, I'll vote, just let's get out of here, right? They would, and you're all thinking we should turn the AC off. That's not where we're going. We're done with the government. Okay. But air conditioning is actually what I want to talk about for a few minutes, because it is one of the most important inventions in the last 100 years by far. Air conditioning is, first of all, amazing for us. Who doesn't love the feeling of coming in from a hot, humid day in the nice, dry, crisp, cool AC? It's great, right? Yeah, you're all thinking about it right now. I like to sit and think about what it must have felt like, right? We're in this world and it's hot, and then you get to just walk inside a Starbucks and go, right? What if there was no end, right? There was no respite. It was just hopefully it'll cool down at night, I guess, right? That's how people used to be. But for us, we have air conditioning and it's changed our world, right? People can live in areas that used to be uninhabitable. We can do business year round. We can live further away from our jobs because air-conditioned cars and buses and trains get us to work. At work, AC makes us more productive, right? Blue collar, white collar, everybody saw huge production increases when air conditioning came onto the scene, and work became more bearable and more bearable year round. Beyond comfort, friends, air conditioning saves lives. Around some 200,000 people each year have heat deaths that are averted because of air conditioning. And it helps us purify the air from harmful contaminants all around us. But, and you knew there was going to be a but, all of this, of course, comes with a cost. I mean, it comes with a pico cost for one thing, right? Electricity consumption because of air conditioning is at an all-time high, and it is going up fast. But more than that is a cost of disconnection. Our AC units contribute to the warming of our planet while shielding us from its effects. So while temperatures hit record highs every month on every metric, it's always 74 wherever we are. We don't feel what we are doing to the earth. Now, in some ways, this isn't entirely a problem. Right? We need the good effects of AC. We deserve comfort and we need the control. We want to be shielded, and it does much good, but we also need to consider the ways that it is shaping our awareness. There's an old story about Hasidic Rabbi Eliyahu Chaim Meisels. He was the Rebbe of Lodz, and he would raise money for the poor and the widows and orphans in his city. So during one particularly freezing winter, he goes to a local philanthropist in the community and knocks on the door. The butler comes and says, "Oh, Rabbi, how are you?" And he says, "I'm here to collect for orphans, for widows, for everyone for this winter." And the butler says, let me go get Reb Isaac. Reb Isaac is our philanthropist. And so Reb Isaac comes running out to the door in his house coat, and he's like, "Oh, Rabbi, please come in. And the rabbi goes, "So, how are you? How's the family?" And he's like, "Oh, we're fine, thank God, we're fine, but really, come in, there's a fire, we'll make some tea." And he goes, No, just for a second, tell me more, how are you doing, what's going on? And Rabbi Isaac is, have a problem, because the door's wide open, cold air is pouring into his house, but if he steps outside, he's going to be freezing cold, because he's in just his, home clothes. So he stands there talking to the rabbi for a little bit longer, and he said, "Rabbi, please, you don't have to wait outside." He goes, "I don't want to get snow on your floors. I have to just talk to you for a few minutes. I'm wondering if you would help us collect, for the winter. We have about 50 families who need firewood this winter." And Rabbi Isaac says, "Of course, Rabbi, of course, please, for the love of Hashem, come inside," as they're chattering. So he comes inside, he sits down by the fire, and Rabbi Isaac says, "Rabbi, I always give every year. I give whatever you want. Why did you make me stand out in the cold?" And Rabbi Eliyahu says, "Oh, Rabbi Isaac, I know you give. But I needed to know that you also felt what it was like to be out in the cold before you did." We are, all of us, good people. Every single one. As I said last week, we are all made in the image of God. We all care about the world. We all care about people in our lives. We care about the poor. We care about the planet. We care about the sick. We care about the future. It's actually not that we don't care that is a problem. It's that we can't care constantly. The world is too big. It has too many issues. We're able to understand our own role, however small, in large injustices, but we have little hope of fixing them on our own. The systems in our world that need fixing are too vast at a time when the world is so small that we know about every single bad thing that happens anywhere instantly. The flood of news is something that we have to shut out if we're going to make it through the day. So we create a sort of moral air conditioning around us, where we are protected from the onslaught of all of the bad things in our lives in a little bubble of comfort. And we air condition ourselves in many ways, all of them understandable, all of them in need in some way and at some times. So we block out information. We only accept what we want. We cherry pick the sources, the sites, or technology does it for us, but we become deafened to the stories and ideas that might break through and make us a little bit uncomfortable. We cool our own culpability. We think, I try, I recycle, I voted the right way, I'm not the one doing the bad stuff, they are. Them, those people, they. We can also use the complexity of a situation as our moral air conditioning. I can't possibly make a difference on that issue, so I don't really need to worry about it. Now, there is nothing inherently wrong with putting up some psychological protections and barriers to the world around us. Again, we have to. We all have to wear a little bit of armor so that we can do the things that we need to do. The problem becomes when we are so used to the armor, to the air conditioning, the things that are blocking out the troubles of the world, that we forget that they're there in the first place, or we forget how to recognize them. It is perhaps knowing this about all of us that God gave us Yom Kippur. Because today we are forced to acknowledge our sins. Today we are forced to acknowledge our culpability, our mistakes, and the moments that we should have done something, but we didn't. This whole thing is hard. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. And that's kind of the point. The Torah that we read today tells us that on Yom Kippur we are supposed to la'anot nafshotechem. We are supposed to afflict our souls. In fact, it says that some 5 times in the Torah, and that's where we get the 5 things that one is commanded to abstain from today: food, drink, romance, leather shoes, and bathing, anointing, makeup. All of these things, taking them away, makes the day rather uncomfortable. But it's also the point, right? Inui nefesh, as it is known, is afflicting ourselves. We are asked to afflict ourselves today. So why do we do it? The rabbis offer a few different ideas, as did the confirmation class a few days ago. I made sure to tell them I quote them. When we don't eat, when we don't drink, when we don't shower, when we don't engage with others, we are, the rabbis say, meant to act like corpses. We remind ourselves that we will all go the way of mortal flesh someday, may it not be for long, long, long years. And in doing that, we remind ourselves of the fragility of life. This is incredibly uncomfortable. The modern world is basically designed so that we don't think about our own death, and we keep death as far away from us as possible all of the time. But Yom Kippur says no. You have to look it in the face. You have to understand it. You have to think about the fact that we all of us, someday will die. And from that discomfort is born compassion, is born appreciation, is born the ability to say we're sorry and the ability to forgive others. Because this discomfort also breeds empathy, right? We are all of us sitting here, I imagine, a little bit hungry, a little bit wishing we had tried one of those 24-hour release caffeine pills that someone told me about yesterday. Next year. But we all, please God, have bagels and kugel and orange juice waiting for us at 7:23 tonight. If you don't, let me know. You can come over to my house. We're happy to have you. But imagine if you didn't. Imagine if you were this hungry and you were going to have a piece of toast tonight and then nothing again tomorrow. The discomfort that we force on ourselves right now helps us feel empathy for those who have it forced upon them. Also, all of these things, this is where I'm quoting our confirmation student when I said, why do we do this? And she said, because God said so, which is always the right answer when a rabbi asks a question. But the fact that we do it because God said so is us showing that we are willing to be a part of something greater than ourselves. I don't really know why God said don't eat every year on Yom Kippur, but God did. I want to be part of the people. I'm going to do it. I hope you're happy, Lord. Right? That's essentially what we do, and that's okay. It's an okay thing to do, but our discomfort reminds us of the fact that we are part of something bigger than ourselves, and that we sometimes have to sacrifice our own desires, wants, needs, and comfort for the sake of our goals and the greater good of the people around us. The point of Yom Kippur is to be uncomfortable, so that we reflect on our lives and our actions, so that we increase our empathy and connection, so that we think about things bigger than ourselves, so that we think about how we can change ourselves in the year ahead. Because inflicting this discomfort on ourselves also reminds us that we have a lot of power and a lot of agency and a lot of control. I can keep myself from eating for an entire day. What can't I do? But the point isn't to wallow in the discomfort or the despair, right? The point is not to just beat our chests all day long, saying how sorry we are and being in pain with no point. And God's self hints at this in the Haftorah for today. It's actually one of my favorite theological moments that we have. We're all here. We're all feeling the discomfort. Inui nefesh is real. It's the middle of the morning, right? We're really discomforted. And in this moment, we're thinking, well, at least I'm being holy and pious and I'm not eating, and that's so good. And then we read the Haftorah where Isaiah says, is this the fast that I desire? A day for people to starve their bodies? Is it bowing the head like a bulrush and lying in sackcloth and ashes? You call that a fast day? A day when God is favorable? No, says Isaiah. This is the fast that I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Isaiah reminds us that fasting and discomfort only go so far. According to the prophet, unlike some of the rabbis, right, fasting itself isn't enough. It's only valuable, this inui nefesh, if it pushes us to action. More than being hungry for food, we are meant to be hungry for justice. Is it about being hungry all of the time? No, right? Because when it comes time to be judged, it's not about what you don't eat. It's about what you didn't do. And it's not only the discomfort that reminds us to be good in the world, but it actually helps us to do it better, right? Being uncomfortable makes us more aware. As we said, when Moses is called to leadership, he's given special instructions by God. God says, take the shoes from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. Rabbis all wonder, why did Moses have to take his shoes off in order to talk to God? So it might be that it's out of respect for a holy place. It might be that it is God telling Moses to deny the material world in order to better enter the spiritual one. But a 16th century rabbi known as Kleakar had a different take. He wrote, the world is always full of sharp objects and stones. When one wears shoes, he can easily step on small stones lying in the way, almost without feeling them. However, when one walks barefoot, he feels every small thing lying on the ground, every thorn, every painful stone. God said to Moses, the leader of Israel, take off your shoes. The leader of the generation must feel every obstacle and every impediment on the road. He must feel the pain of his people and realize what is bothering them. Discomfort brings empathy for others. It makes us good leaders. It lets us know what's wrong in the world around us. The things that make us feel uncomfortable, when we think about them, those are the things that we need to fix. We need to find moments to walk around without shoes on. We need to feel the bumps in the road. Take time this year to be aware of the discomfort around us, our physical discomfort, our moral discomfort. Listen to the voices in our hearts, because that is how we know what needs work. A rabbi knows the Me'orei Naim says that God wrote 2 Torahs when God created the world. Right? God wrote the Torah that we have, that we read, and God wrote a Torah inside all of us. And so when you think to yourself, this just doesn't feel right, it doesn't seem right, you're listening to the Torah inside of you. And that's something that should push us to do better. And what makes us feel uncomfortable is the thing that guides us to that Torah. It's what Ruth Messenger calls creative discomfort. It's what Martin Luther King Jr. called creative maladjustment. In speeches at college campuses all over, he would say that there are some things in our nation and in the world to which I am proud to be maladjusted, and which I call upon all men of good will to remain maladjusted until the good society is realized and men and women will be as maladjusted as the prophet Amos, who, in the midst of the injustices of his day, cried out, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. We need to be aware. We need to be educated and open enough to foster our own creative maladjustment. Wherever it might lead us, we have to acknowledge our discomfort and let us push it to do good. And here's where I felt like this might not be the right sermon for this moment. So we're going to do a whole new one. I'm just kidding. Because when I was thinking about this in July, I felt like we all need a little udge, right? We're all a little too comfortable. My life is great, thank God. But we need a little bit of discomfort. And now, in this week, I'm not sure if that's still true. I think we're all pretty uncomfortable. think there are a lot of things that make us feel discomforted. And I'm not sure if everyone needs that same utz, because there's a lot to make us feel uncomfortable. So at the end of August, I was at a rabbinic convention, and it was put on by the Hartman Institute, and Rabbi Daniel Hartman, who was here with us last year, was speaking and doing a Q&A with a bunch of rabbis when one of them said, Rabbi Hartman, what should pulpit rabbis say this year? We are all exhausted. We are all worried. What should we do? And Rabbi Hartman stopped before answering the question, and he said, I'm sorry, but you don't get to be tired right now. There's simply too much for you to be doing. Now, this was a gut punch to all of us sitting there, but he's a little bit right, and I'm a little bit right. We are all of us scared. We are all of us tired. We are all of us pulled in too many directions, and all of us worried about the days ahead. We are all a little uncomfortable already, perhaps too uncomfortable. But also, there is too much for us to do to stay on the sidelines. Our people, those in our families, our community, our religion, our world needs us. So Peter Finley Dunn was a journalist who was the first person who said that journalism is meant to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And then Woody Guthrie said the same thing about folk music, and Reinhold Niebuhr and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Hessel made the same claim about religion. The point of the Torah is to bring comfort and peace to those in need, and a little bit of a poke to be better to the people who are feeling too comfortable. We ourselves have to do both. Right? We have to know when to be comfortable and when to comfort others, and know when we and those around us need a little bit of a nudge out of comfort and into action. In the 1930s, one Shabbat morning on Shabbat Nachamu, the Shabbat known as the Shabbat of Comfort, Rabbi Yaakov of Hosiaten preached that there are times when we have to serve God, and there are times when we need God to comfort us. And you don't know which one is going to come first. Sometimes you serve the Lord, and from that you get comforted. And other times you just need a little comfort and peace, and then you can get back in the game and serve the Lord. Sometimes, friends, we have to get out of the AC. We have to feel the heat of the world and think about how to make it better. And other times, we need a glass of nice cold ice water on a comfy couch in a cool room. I trust you to know when you need one and when you need the other. So does God, so does the Torah. Our job today is to listen to your gut. It's especially loud right now. And know where you're at. And if you need another moment in the cool, or if you're ready to go outside, take off your shoes, feel the discomfort around us, and get to work. Shana Tova.